Hello, everybody, and welcome to our podcast, Strong, Grounded, Unstoppable, the podcast for women who are done just coping and really want to live. And I'm thrilled today to have Kim with me again, Kim from Canada. And we're going to talk a little bit about pain, actually, but in the nicest possible way, because we're also here to help as well as talk. This morning I woke up with my body on fire, my joints on fire. Fibromyalgia visits me occasionally. I don't own it, but it comes uninvited sometimes. And I don't ever call it my fibromyalgia, or I have fibromyalgia, but it visits me. And so my limbs were and still are inflamed. And the first question Kim asked me was, what did you eat last night? So I have to admit, actually, I had a glass of wine and then I had a tot of rum because I'd just been out to have my eyebrows done, sort of tattooed, which is why they're a bit dark, which is like, ha ha ha. But anyway, so that's me. And Kim is feeling discombobulated, one of my favorite words. But Kim, tell us why you're discombobulated, darling.
Oh, I get the weirdest things will happen, like if I'm rushed or, Greg was late getting home and he helps me set up the lighting and whatever. And then I just get frazzled. But we're going to talk about the patches. So what I did was I put on a peace patch. We'll talk about that another time.
Oh, fantastic.
But
okay.
I find that it is amazing. Like I don't actually have to take anything. I can just put a peace patch on. And it addresses neurology, so there's nothing going into my body.
Well, actually, I have taken 2 Zapane, which is 60 mils of codeine and 1,000 of paracetamol, and I've also just had 2 Brufen. So let's go ahead and talk about pain and patches, because I want to get some of these patches, and so I'll get some, and then I can review them and say to people what I think of them, honestly, because anything that will work without taking medication will be brilliant, because I've taken a lot of medication in my time. And, and that's why my voice is a bit croaky today with the cocodamol. So, patches, Tim.
Well,
Kim?
that's okay. Let's just
sorry.
take a little step back, though, because what got me into not wanting to take medication and, try and get people to understand there are other options was the history with my mom. Like my mom was on, I don't even know how many different medications over my life. She was diagnosed with bipolar. So we're going to talk about that another time. But, and because of that, the medications that she was on were ghastly. I mean, it led to her having heart problems, and I don't mean to scare anybody, but the more things we put into our body that way, it does affect your liver and your kidneys and all sorts of things. So that kind of made me have a life switch once I had my kids. And then I realized, like with both my parents dying very young from heart disease, I knew I had to make a change because I didn't want to see that same journey for not only myself, but my kids, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, bravo you. And that's one of the reasons we're here, is because of your wellness with Kim and your expertise, which, sometimes I talk to you and it's like, wow. So your mum, it's not, bipolar is is it a disease? It is a condition. It's a mental illness.
Yeah, I struggle with all of those things by putting labels. I think that's part of the problem in our society. Like because that's what happened to my mom. My mom was given a label, and back in those days, like it was early. I was born in 1960, and she had the challenges before that. And in fact, my aunt only told me a few years ago that I was chosen, that they thought they could correct my mom's hormonal imbalances by her having another baby, like another child.
Okay.
And so they had already had my brother and sister. So they had me in order to fix my mom. But her hormonal challenges, that didn't fix it. And so back to the labels, then I think as soon as you get labeled with bipolar or a mental illness, They don't look at other things. So,
Okay.
right, she was going to the hospital with heart palpitations or whatever, telling her doctor various things. And it all, when you're labeled, especially with a mental illness, they all label it under, oh, you're under stress. You know what I mean? Like it's all looked at as that one label. And here she
So,
was getting
so
blocked
did they?
arteries.
Yeah. Oh, right. But what they did was they medicated her in order to suppress her
Yes.
in a way,
Yes.
and that can't come without side effects.
Absolutely. When a lot of women, you know what, one little factoid, a lot of women, we know what hysterectomies are, but hysterectomies were actually back in, I don't know what dark ages, but that's when they would treat women for being hysterical by
Yes.
removing their female, like the ovaries and the
Yes.
uterus, because they
Yes.
thought that's what was making them hysterical.
Honestly, I am actually, if anybody's not watching this but listening, I am rolling my eyes here.
Yeah.
But that reminds me of a fantastic film with Hugh Dancy and Rupert, very well known British actor, called Hysteria. And
Mm.
it is actually the story of the invention of the vibrator. It's a really
Wow.
good film, well worth watching. It's very funny as well, but
Right.
it's really interesting. And it's interesting that it's called Hysteria.
Yeah.
You just jogged
Yeah.
my memory on that.
Yeah.
So your mum, did you have to administer your mum's medications?
No, but again, because my mom's bipolar was all over the place, because they would either give her like the wrong medication, not enough, like, so she would go through the manicky, the depression, like a lot of up and down, and which then that led to her heart disease, right? Because you can't have your body like going all over the place
No,
like that without
no.
it affecting things. And there's a lot of connections with heart disease now that I know, with like chemicals and all of that
Mm,
part of it too. But the point of it is that, well, number one, I felt as a small child I had to take care of my mom, right? Like I did make sure she was okay. And as a small child, like keeping her happy, or like making sure she was, all
mm.
these different things. But that led to me being like a nurturer or caregiver or
Yes,
whatever.
yeah. And did you ever feel that there was a form of disappointment or even resentment from either of your parents because you didn't fix her condition?
No, actually I didn't. And because I didn't even know about the fixing thing until like just a few years ago, when I jokingly said to my aunt that I had thought I was adopted. But I was just really blessed with many family members that I went to live with, like cousins and stuff like that I went to live with. So I had an amazing family. We talked about that
Yeah,
in the first episode. So
yeah,
people,
yeah.
can go back and watch that. But no, I don't believe there was any of that. I think it literally, I became part of my defiant self was developed back in in that
Mm,
small child of just like
mm.
speaking my mind and fighting for myself, right? Like
Yeah,
because
yeah,
of so much chaos.
yeah. Brilliant, brilliant.
So anyway,
So
so by the
here we.
time I reached adulthood, had two children and whatever, I started to like just look at alternatives
Mm,
and what I could do instead of taking pain pills, for instance, right? Or instead of taking an antibiotic or whatever. So I started to research that for my own knowledge and for my own children.
mm, mm.
And then, so through the years, I've found amazing, amazing things. Another show that I would love to do at some point in time, one of the biggest things I overcame for myself was endometriosis. I
Wow.
suffered with
Okay. That's
horrible,
awful. Yeah.
horrible cramps growing up and
Oh.
right into my early adulthood. So I overcame that
Oh,
with
yeah.
natural ways. So that's
Mm.
another whole topic.
Amazing. Well, you
Yeah.
see, there are so many things that human beings, um, suffer from. And I think women with our reproductive organs, I think there are certain things that are really incredibly painful.
Yes.
So talking about pain, I would love to
Yes.
hear about the patches because I'm fascinated by them and how they work. One of the reasons is because of the fibromyalgia. when I was diagnosed with it, I was sent off to the hospital to the pain management doctor, who said to me, there is no cure. You'll just have to learn to live with it. And she said it's about how the brain and the messages of pain to or from the brain is not functioning properly, something like that. And she said, you can come to the pain management classes. And there were all these people really sort of very down, very depressed. And I just thought, I don't want to be among all of these people who are kind of embodying, I mean, they must have been in terrible pain. Don't get me wrong. We can't compare our pain. Our pain is our own. But I just walked home from hospital because it was just around the corner. And I thought, there was a time when I didn't have fibromyalgia. So there must going to be a time when I don't have it again. And I'm not accepting that. You have to lie down when it's terrible and blah, blah, blah. But I'm not accepting it as part of me and my life unless I'm really forced to on that particular day. I didn't want it to become a part of who I was going
You can't define
forward.
yourself. Yeah.
No. So I didn't ever go to a pain management class, and I just Googled a few things. And in fact, I'm also just about to Google something about a grounding sheet.
Yes. Highly recommend that.
Oh, okay. So, okay. Tell us about a grounding sheet then.
Well, let's take a step back. So energy.
Okay.
Fibromyalgia is something that when I started my first health food store in 1993 was just, people were just sort of throwing that word around, like the odd person would have it, somebody would come in with chronic fatigue or whatever, which it's always linked. It's all the same thing. And what I know now, Susie, which is why I said, what did you eat? From a practice that my husband does called cell well-being, which is another whole topic. But he pulls 4 hairs from the back of the person's head.
Did we talk about that in the last one?
It.
We did. Yeah.
But from doing the practice that he does, he's had an overview of over 2,000 different reports, right, that have come back. And so we don't need to know what the person has. So if somebody has fibromyalgia, we don't even need to know. Okay. But what will show up on that report with people that have fibromyalgia are a lot of the same similar things. And so one of the big things it's under an umbrella of 2 different things, but exposures. So exposure to chemicals, exposures to electromagnetic frequencies around us, and in exposures to, when I say chemicals, one of the categories is called chemicals and hydrocarbons. So those could be things, and with people with fibromyalgia, fibromyalgia is just a catchphrase for we don't know what the hell's wrong with you. It just is.
Pain and fatigue.
It is, but it's chemicals. It's a chemical sensitivity thing where I've seen it over the years, because I was told I had it like before I even got in this, and it was like, but I was like you, I am not going to define myself by some word. And the more I looked into it, and the more I did talks for support groups and things like that, and I started to realize that there's a whole emotional component to that too, because a lot of those people want a diagnosis, because then that becomes who they are. It becomes a label. So, and I'm not saying you, absolutely not, because you're the opposite. You're the end that, I try to get people to, but is like not letting it define you. So if you have a headache, you don't have a headache because you have fibromyalgia. Like you might have a headache because you sat crooked or whatever. Like there's so many other things going on in your life. But one of the main things is chemicals, like, because your liver, if your liver gets burdened with too many things, it doesn't filter out the toxins. So on a daily basis, we're subjected to toxins. But if you put more chemicals in, then the fat threshold just, it's like an iceberg, just too much stuff. And then you'll have a crash day. So, people over the years, I've found, people definitely, sugars create inflammation. I don't care who you are. Sugar is like pouring gas on a fire.
Oh, well, it's poison. and alcohol is sugar and turns into carbohydrate and makes your tummy
Yeah.
all cuddly.
Yeah.
So,
With lots of
I
different
mean,
sugars.
yes, yes. I mean, we have to live.
Yes.
I mean, I'm on the drink side. I'm not, I've really cut back. And I kind of feel lighter. But then, I got home last night and Damien had just had a glass of rosé with some ice in it. And I thought, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So I drank it, of course.
Yeah.
So the pain patches, they are neurological with, I don't know why I'm stroking my arm. Do you put them on your arm?
You can. I've got the peace patch on. So well, this is actually, I don't know if anybody can see. That's
Yes.
the
Oh,
peace patch
yes.
right there. I just put it
Yes.
on my arm before we started.
How long does
So
it stay on
basically,
there for? How long do they last?
they last 24 hours. So,
Okay.
like, unless, it's the heat of your, okay, so I'll start back at the beginning.
Yeah,
So the
please.
gentleman who's actually a Canadian that developed these was researching, his mom was diagnosed with MS, I want to say it was, or Parkinson's, I can't remember, but anyway, a long time ago, excuse me. And medically, they just told his family, his dad and his family, the progression of what was going to happen with her. And, there's nothing we can do about it, but eventually, blah, blah, blah. And so he started to study neurology. How he stumbled on neurology, I don't remember the very first thing, but I think it was just through understanding that our brain is our mainframe computer. It runs everything. Our brain runs everything. So if you don't have your brain functioning 100%, and there are different parts of the brain that will affect different things, right?
Yes.
So that's what Jay started to research, was how he could help his mother's neurology, because one of the things that they said they could do for his mom was a surgery that they would, I think, disconnect different parts of her brain that were telling her body to do that thing. But part of the side effects or the warnings or whatever, she could have ended up like a vegetable,
Yeah. That
totally
sounds
not
awfully
able to function.
drastic. Mm.
And so his mom refused. So that's why he pursued the studying of the brain. So we talk about the mind, we talk about our moods and things like that. That's the mind. But your actual brain would be like if you were looking at your computer, and that's the main part of your computer. But if you had 20 tabs open across the top,
Mm-hmm.
and your computer's going slow, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's parts of the brain of the computer that are not getting optimal functioning. And so what the patches do is they just have ridges on them, because he also discovered, and I tell people, think about this. If you were in a dark room, a black room, and a fly landed on your arm, a tiny little fly that has pinpoint, tiny little fly, you would feel it. And your brain right away would probably say, oh, it's a fly. Your brain just knows, oh, it's a bug or whatever, right?
Registers the fact.
Yeah, so understanding the tactile nervous system that's at the right below the skin, like you can touch it and your brain automatically tells you you're touching it. So he began to realize that tactile part of our brain functioning, tactile nervous system, is a whole entire system. So anyway, from that point, he developed these different products, but the patches have been out for about 2 years now. And I found out about them early on because I had fallen. I had a really bad fall when I was taking care of my aunt. When I lived with her for 6 months to keep her out of a nursing home. So I had fallen during that time, and because I was her only caregiver, I was helping, lifting her and stuff like that. I didn't look after my hip injury. So anyway, that's a process. But Greg had gone to a function that one of our friends was at, and she said, Edna said, oh, well, where's Kim? And Greg said, oh, her hip's really sore or whatever. And so she said, oh, well, give her, I got these new patches. So they just look like little squares. So I didn't even, Greg brought them home, and I probably put them in my makeup bag, didn't even think about it. And then one day, it was around Easter that year. So 2 years ago at Easter, my hip I was really in a lot of pain, and I really thought it was a combination too, because the actual physical hip pain, but then the joint pain from walking. Like I had like you, like a lot of body pain too. I probably ate something. I know I did, probably grains and wheat is bad. But anyway, so I went in the bathroom and I thought what I was actually looking for was one of the creams that I have, and I found these patches and it said pain whatever. So I thought, oh, what the heck, you know. So I went in our front room and I peeled off the back of one of them and I put the pain patch on, and I just sat there for a couple minutes, and I literally, the first time I used it, and I don't know if it was just because it was the first time, but I felt like a sensation in my body. Like I felt like a warm, just like a sensation. And, you know, within minutes, I got up to go back to the bathroom, and I'd say my pain level was 80% less. And,
Wow.
and at the time I had no idea what they were. Like she just said, put it on. Right. So here I am, like Easter Sunday, trying to get a hold of her. Like, what are these things? Like, you know, you got to tell me about them or whatever. And so she was going to a family Easter. She said, here, just take the website, look at the information. So I spent the whole day, like the information we now have is like expansive compared to what 2 years ago. It was pretty new. So there wasn't like a lot on the website. But over the course of the next few days, I just jumped into all the information that I could find, and found out that there were other patches. And then since that time, they've developed other patches. But all they actually are is a little. Well, I've got the piece ones here because that's what I put on. They're just a little square patch that has these ridges. And each one has a specific ridge pattern. So no two are the same. They all have different ridges. And that's what I tell people, like, just feel that. That's the only thing that's going on your skin. There's no herbs, there's no drugs, there's no anything, which, being in my industry, it's genius, because a lot of times we would have herbal things, and then their doctor wouldn't let them take them because they were on blood pressure medication or whatever. There were so many barriers. There's no barriers.
No contraindications. Well, I'm definitely going to get some and order some, because and I'll put a link to somewhere for people to find them and to read more about them. Because what we want when we talk about remedies, in a way, whether they're mental, physical, or whatever, we don't want to be selling. We want to, like back at school, show and tell. We just want to show and tell. And if anybody wants to learn more, obviously we're here. We're here to help. And I think my thing is, and Kim as well, our lives it's such a holistic thing. It's everything impacts everything else. And if we can be in optimum health, in optimum mental wellness, not 100% of the time, because that's unrealistic. But if we can do the best we can for ourselves and each other, then why wouldn't we do it? And I have taken a lot of meds in my time. And if there is something that can help me with, the issues, that's not pharmaceutical medication to ingest, all the better. So thank you for that, Kim.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Yeah, and and it's always good to have a story behind the product or the service or the offering as well. Speaking of stories, we have a lot to tell. My third chapter will come up soon, because, as Kim said, it's all about understanding why I do what I do with the Mastering Mental Toughness, which I just love doing, and I cannot wait to begin actually delivering it, which was so close now. So all is well and good. Okay, my lovely. Well, I think we'll leave it there, and we'll put information about the patches. I've got that song on the brain. Patches. Do 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 do. Sorry, people. I'll stop singing. No, I'll stop making a noise now. Actually, I'm going to have singing lessons at some point. That's another story. Yeah, because it's all about breathing correctly. And when we breathe correctly, we feel a whole lot better. That's for another time. So thank you for listening. If you have any questions, just pop a comment, and we will see you again very soon. Thanks for listening. Oh, and if you like this, please like and share, and all the very best. Have a great rest of the day, evening, or week. Take care. Bye for now. Bye. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.